Hey folks, this is BestInSlot. Welcome back to a jam-packed mods of the week. We've got 8 different mods to showcase today. That's way more than usual. Been a very exciting week. Can't wait to show you some very cool stuff. Before that though, of course, a disclaimer. Mods can and maybe will break your game, especially when the game updates. It makes it even more likely. Of course, you'll have to uninstall those mods until they're updated to the right file version. You may well lose save files, stuff like that. It's definitely not a guarantee, don't get me wrong, especially for the lower impact mods, but it can indeed happen. You can indeed summon Asmodeus the Demon, who has now quite a well-rounded personality. And ladies, he's single, actually, and sentient balls of light and men and anything. He's a demon, he'll go for anything, really. And he's looking for any eligible demons, succubi, etc., etc. So hit him up. He's a cool guy. Long walks on the beach, good sense of humour. Anyways, right. So I'm going to put up a timestamp now. If you want to skip to the mod bit, go ahead and jump to this time in the video. But there's something I want to talk about very, very quickly, and that is actually something that the modding community and some fairly high-profile members in the modding community have talked to me about recently. And that is the comment section for these videos. There's always a lot of, Jurassic World Evolution 2 needs all this help, or, modders fixing what Frontier can't be bothered to fix and stuff like that. And whilst I understand the perspective, I am very much in the camp that Evolution 2 maybe wasn't the step up we wanted, and maybe it needed a little bit more, and maybe, wasn't as big a jump up as I think a lot of us wanted and expected. This also isn't really the case. Modders are kind of working more in collaboration with Frontier than anything else, using things that Frontier has essentially given them and then expanding upon those options. And it's worth noting as well, given where we started with this whole modding thing between Evolution and Frontier and that kind of iffy period we had for a very long time, that Frontier, have opened the gates essentially. Yeah, they're not officially endorsing mods, I should mention that straight away as well. But they're not, cracking down on anyone, they're not talking to anyone about it, they're not, taking an issue with it per se. And that is a huge step in the direction we want to go. We need to see it more as a collaboration and less as this battle. Because I don't think anyone in the modding community, the people actually making these mods, want to see it that way. Anyways, that's all I have to say on that. Let's get started with some rather fantastic stuff. And again, this is stuff you can see why it isn't in the game. And this kind of shows my point a little bit. But we've got 2 really cool mods by Kyodenic, because of course we bloody do. Kyodenic has been a god for Evolution 2, way more than in Evolution 1, just absolutely hammering it. So we've got 2 new enclosure types. We've got open aviaries and open lagoons. So we've got your regular aviaries and stuff over here. So you've got an open aviary, I'll show you this, which looks like that. So it's got the aviary shape and everything like that, and then there's nothing over at the top. But if you wanted to go even further than that, we have an invisible aviary. Let's stick that over there. Very cool. And we'll check this one out. So let's stick in a hatchery. That music continues to be crazy loud. So there you go. It is a open air, fancy, invisible aviary. I think that's a really cool idea. They will now just fly around as though they live there. So in the same vein as that one, we also have these ones here. We've got terrain editable lagoon section. I don't know why it's 3 different ones. Ah, right. So I think these are maybe different styles. So we've got that lagoon. And we've got this lagoon. I'm just going to click these because I think they're just different styles. And then we've got blank terrain editable lagoon. So I don't know why there's no water. Let me figure that out. That might take me a minute. Ah, oh, look at that! Look at that! Oh, that's so good. That is so cool. Okay, so it's a shame there's not like a full-on invisible one. That would have been even cooler. Maybe there is. Let me have a look. No, that would have been cool. Like with no barrier at all. We could build like an integrated... Kyo, please. If we could get it with no barrier whatsoever. I don't know if that's not possible and that's why it's not there. But if we could have a lake inside a dinosaur habitat with our marine creatures swimming around inside it. That'd be amazing. But this is still very, very cool. And this lets us build more lakey sort of things. Tell you what, let's expand this one out a little bit more. And what we can do, if we want to get cheeky with it, which we always do, let's be honest, we're like permanently in a state of wanting things to be cheeky, we can just sort of do this kind of thing, and if you wanted, you could then have a sort of amphibious looking sort of thing, and we could do this kind of thing, get rid of the hatchery there, and they kind of look like they're in an amphibious habitat. You're going to see them go underwater, go through the terrain every now and again, but we don't even need the invisible thing. We can kind of just hide this, I mean, it'd be better, but we can just kind of hide this outside. And suddenly, what we've got here is Dinosuchus in a lake sort of thing. Now, you can't terrain immediately inside, as you can see. But if we use Chiodenic's other mod, as I say, Chiodenic's a god, then, you know, we can do this kind of thing. We can put these in happily around the outside. Let's find some... I don't want hats. Where have my big trees gone? There we go. What are we going to do? This one. Yeah, it would take a little bit of time, but you could build a full lakeside sort of habitat. And again, you could have, maybe we'll do this later in this week, right? You could have your aquatics here, you could have a big dinosaur exhibit surrounding it, and then maybe, let me just try this out, right, because I'm excited. You could then have pterosaurs, you could combine all three, basically, into a 100% naturalistic looking habitat. You could have your aquatics, pterosaurs, and dinosaurs all living together. How cool does that sound as an idea? That is very, very exciting. That is definitely something we're going to have to try out later on this week. I want to make an exhibit with all three folded in, and it still look completely natural, other than these guys every now and again deciding to swim into the earth itself. But that's fine. Kaio also has, and we have shown this a little bit during our petting zoo video, so I'm not going to go too much into this, but Chiodenic's also updated their expanded paths and fences mod. We now have tons of new fences, invisible walls, which of course super helpful, invisible walls again. We've got guest gates in many styles, so you can put these actually on the path and open them up, and your guests will be able to walk through them, which is really cool. And we've got all these different fence types, which is awesome. These little ones in particular, which, as I say, I used for a petting zoo because, you know, it has more of that kind of vibe. There's also some new pathing options as well. So we've got like dirt trails and stuff like that, ones with lights as well, dirt paths. We've got invisible trails that people will still follow, and invisible thoroughfare. Also got pass-through paths. These will go through water. If I have any water, yeah, there you go. So I'll show you that. It doesn't cut it out. Lets your people walk through the water if you want to do that for some reason. And they also have a, is it this one? Yeah, a viewing path. So this is a path that provides a viewing area around it, which kind of makes sense, right? That's, I think all paths should do that inherently. That kind of makes more sense to me. You can, of course, see through the fence to the dinosaurs, but hey, there you go. You've got a path to do that. Moving on with our lives. So we have quite a few dinosaurs to get through as well. So let's get started. Man, I love this outro. I really do. They really nailed that roar. That roar is a thing of beauty. So this is the JP Accurate Carcharodontosaurus, and basically it remodels the Carcharodontosaurus to look a little bit more Jurassic Parkified, and also, as you can see from this one right here, it reskins it to resemble the Jurassic Park Operation Genesis Carcharodontosaurus, which is really cool. The whole thing seems a little bit bulkier. It's still got the spikes down the back, but the spikes on the head are definitely a little bit more chill. And overall, it's just actually a really cool looking Carcharodontosaurus. I love the skin colour. It's really cool to have that sort of JPOG influence in there. And definitely go check this out. Did I mention who this was by? I don't think I did. Dr. Sammy Wu. I'm going to say it again, so check out this mod in the description down below. We're going to be relatively speedy with this part of the video. Onwards! So this is another mod by North Fire, who you'll remember did an incredible, the Triceratops in particular comes to mind, and what they've done is they've remodeled and retextured the Aloro Titan. Now it definitely takes away some of the Aloro's bright and shininess. Aloro is typically a very colourful, very bright and shiny dinosaur, but it does add quite a lot to it. Aloro Titan is one of those dinosaurs, there's a handful of them in the game, like say the Albertosaurus, which I think was also redone, that has this kind of rubbery, toy-esque skin texture where it doesn't look like a real creature, it does look a little bit like a toy. I think they were outsourced to dinosaurs because it's all by the same company, those ones. And this obviously does away with that. We've got a whole new skin texture, a much, much more detailed and rough and tumble skin texture. No longer does it look anything like a toy or shiny or anything like that. Like I say, it dims it a little in the process, but I think it is probably a marked improvement. Not only that though, the dinosaur has been remodeled somewhat as well. You can see particularly here in the lower body and in the neck, and a little bit in the crest, which I think has been made larger. They just like to build up the dinosaur a little bit more. They tend to thicken the dinosaur, chunkify it a little bit, add some extra features like neck flaps and stuff like that. And it makes a pretty cool looking Titan, it's got to be said. A dinosaur that was maybe in need of a little bit of love. Right, third up. Adorable. So this is Basilodon, a mod by Yosoba. I'm gonna go Yosoba. And it's a new species. Now, new species are very much in development. It's probably going to be quite a while away. There's some stuff going on there. You know, it isn't necessarily top priority. There's a lot of things that need to be worked on, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get too much into it right now. But the point is, new species aren't quite a common thing at this point in time. It's some hard work. However, Yosoba has done it again, as a few people had in the past. And because of that, we have the lovely, very cute Basilodon. And it doesn't replace the Minmi, which is a nice big plus, right? Because you see this and you automatically assume it's going to replace the Minmi. Basilodon is a therapsid from South Africa. I feel like I've talked about therapsids a lot lately, but they are basically mammalian ancestors in this case. It's also a Dicynodont, which is a clade of herbivorous therapsids. So these guys with the tusks, basically. And they once dominated the planet. They were all over the planet. I think I talked about this. Maybe it was Basilodon, but I don't think it was. I think it was Lystrosaurus, maybe. But they were just absolutely everywhere. And they were one of the last surviving therapsids until that Triassic extinction event. And at that point, you know, mammals started to kind of do their thing a little bit. Cool beans. 2 to go. So this is the Fallen Kingdom Pachyrhinosaurus by Sweetener, and you'll be maybe you're confused. Maybe we have a Pachyrhinosaurus. We sure do, random YouTube commenter. But the thing is, this is an interesting piece of history. Pachyrhinosaurus was originally meant to be in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And as we all know, we even saw it in the files, right, for Jurassic World Evolution for the first game. What happened was the Pachyrhinosaurus was eventually replaced by the Sinoceratops for the final film. We're not really sure why that happened, but that's what happened. They replaced Pachyrhinosaurus for the Sinoceratops. We even had toy lines for the Pachyrhinosaurus prior to the release of the film, and then it was all hastily kind of shoved under the carpet a little bit. But the point is, this Pachyrhinosaurus by Sweetener is made to resemble that Fallen Kingdom Pachyrhinosaurus. Basically, this is meant to resemble the toy line that we saw revealed for the Fallen Kingdom Pachyrhinosaurus. And that's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. Some fantastic mods we've taken a look at today. Some really, really cool stuff. Cryogenics mods, of course, changing the way the game works fundamentally, giving you more creative options. One day we'll get these guys onto land. I don't know how that will ever happen, but you never know, folks. I think we do know in that case. But either way, this is very, very cool. The idea of building this triple exhibit is very exciting. Can't wait to do that. And of course, yeah, you know, we can now put plants all over this, and you could make it into an exhibit. You are always going to have to deal with that kind of disappearing into the terrain. Not much you can do about that. But if you wanted to, you know, just take really cool screenshots here and there, this is kind of how you would do it, right? Thank you so much for joining me. Check out all these mods in the Mods of the Week Google Doc. There you go, I found the word. So in the Mods of the Week Google Doc, which you'll find down below in the description. Go give the mod makers lots and lots of love. Let me know any cool ideas you've got for these mods. You know, is there anything I've missed? Any exciting ways to develop on these further that you can think of for yourselves? And that's about it. Thank you so much for joining me. Cheers, much love. Oh, throw me a like if you enjoyed the video. That'd be super cool beans. Cheers, much love as always. Bye-bye.
Reaching out.